What is up, amigos? Hope you're doing well. Shankar, a name that once symbolized cinematic grandeur, has sadly become synonymous with outdated ideas and repetitive narratives. Gone are the days when his films like Nayak, Sivaji, and Aparichit or Onion set benchmarks in storytelling and visual excellence. Today, we see a filmmaker who refuses to evolve, stuck in an echo chamber of his own making. With his latest outing, Game Changer, he not only fails to meet expectations but drags down an actor as talented as Charan. This isn't a one-off incident. Indian 2 did the same to Kamal Hassan as well. What's worse, Game Changer doesn't just disappoint, it frustrates, bores, and sometimes even insults the intelligence of its audience. Let's break this down and see where it all went so wrong. So for those of you wondering what Game Changer is about, it's marketed as a political action drama that promises to expose the rot of systemic corruption. The story revolves around Charan playing dual roles: Nandan, a no-nonsense IAS officer who is determined to bring change, and his father Appanna, whose past ties to power and politics shape the present narrative. At its core, the film attempts to highlight how an honest bureaucrat navigates the murky waters of politics, deceit, and systemic rot. But here's the problem. The story barely scratches the surface of these themes. Instead of diving into the complexities of power dynamics or offering a nuanced take on corruption, Game Changer serves a predictable and outdated narrative. The script tries to glorify bureaucratic honesty with flashy heroics, but contradicts itself by painting the entire system as irreparably corrupt. There is no depth, no layers, and no genuine exploration of the very themes it claims to champion. The central conflict, which should be engaging, comes across as formulaic. The honest officer versus corrupt system trope has been done to death, and here it feels like a relic of the early 2000s. The film bombards you with monologues about justice, integrity, and morality, but the execution is so over the top that it borders on parody sometimes. And then there are some laughable moments like the chief election officer descending in a helicopter as if this is some action-packed spy thriller, and another one where corrupt police officers who were trying to assassinate the protagonist suddenly bowed out to him like a god once he is declared as the chief minister. Now, these moments are supposed to feel grand, but instead they come off as unintentionally hilarious. Instead of delivering an intricate narrative, the film throws in cliches like family melodrama, an undercooked romantic subplot, and painfully predictable twists. You know exactly where the story is going from the first act. The father-son dynamic, which could have been a powerful emotional anchor, is barely explored. The romance between Nandan and Kiara Advani's Deepika is so superficial that it feels like a mere obligation rather than a meaningful part of the plot. The screenplay does no favors either. If you have seen Nayak or Sivaji, you've already seen Game Changer. The same cliches, the same heavy-handed dialogues, and the same formulaic storytelling. Shankar's refusal to innovate is glaringly obvious here. The narrative feels stuck in the early 2000s, and the moralistic tone of the film is exhausting. Remember those Tagore-style monologues by Chiranjeevi? This film has an overdose of them, and trust me, it's unbearable. On one hand, the film criticizes most bureaucrats as being corrupt stooges of politicians, but on the other hand, it glorifies them as honest and brave individuals. This paradox is laughable and shows how confused the storytelling is. Shankar was once a master of blending social commentary with engaging storytelling, but here his signature touch is sorely missing. Game Changer is so busy trying to preach and impress with grand visuals that it forgets the most crucial aspect of cinema: the story itself. Now let's talk about performances, starting with Charan, who carries the weight of this film on his shoulders solely. It's clear he has put an immense effort to bring depth to both his roles: Nandan, the fiery IAS officer, and Appanna, his father. There are glimpses of brilliance in Charan's portrayal, especially in scenes where he confronts the corrupt system. But these moments are fleeting. Why? Because the script does him no justice at all. The dual role, instead of being a strength, becomes a burden due to weak writing. Charan's talent shines, but it feels like he's been asked to light up a dark, crumbling house. It's impressive, but it doesn't fix the flaws around him. Then there's Kiara Advani. She looks stunning as always, but that's where it ends. Her character Deepika feels like an afterthought. She's reduced to being a pretty face who dances to underwhelming songs and occasionally offers moral support to the hero. This is frustrating, especially when you consider Kiara's potential as an actor. The Dhope song is a prime example of her wasted presence. Forget the song's lack of appeal. Her costume choices look so bizarre that they make you question if this was supposed to be a serious film or a fashion experiment gone wrong. At this point, even Urfi Javed could have made a more deliberate statement. And now the villains. SJ Surya, I don't know where to even begin. It seems like he's stuck in the acting style of a bygone era, particularly his over-the-top role in Spider. The exaggerated expressions, the screaming dialogues, and the comical body language. All of it feels like a parody. A villain is supposed to evoke fear, not unintentional laughter. He comes across as a caricature rather than a real threat to the protagonist, and that's one of the major reasons why the tension in Game Changer falls flat. Now, if there's one thing Game Changer had going for it, it was its enormous budget of 400 crores and technical crew. Yet the film squanders these resources in ways that are frustrating and at times downright baffling. First, the background score. It's so loud, and no, scratch that, it's deafening. Imagine being stuck in a concert where the sole performer is an overly enthusiastic drummer who doesn't know when to stop. That's the BGM for this film. It's not just there to heighten emotions, it's screaming at you, crying for attention, and eventually leaving you with a pounding headache. Combine this with this movie being released in IMAX and 4DX experience too, and you've got a sensory overload that's more punishing than immersive. It doesn't elevate the scenes, it drowns them in chaos. When it comes to the songs, Jaragandi is the only track that leaves a slight impression, but even that feels out of place in the larger context of the film. The rest of the songs are so forgettable that you won't even realize when they end. And a rare good song, Hairana, did not even make it to the final cut. Yes, the song is not in the theatrical release for some technical reasons the makers say. The cinematography, while visually striking in a few scenes, overuses Mokobot fast panning shots to the point of dizziness. These techniques, when overused, might have been impressive a decade ago, but now they feel like an overkill. Editing is another weak link. Abrupt transitions and a sluggish pace make the already long runtime feel like an eternity. In terms of production value, the film does look expensive, but this doesn't translate into quality. Instead, it feels like a grand stage set with no heart or soul to back it up. Now, at this point, I want to take a moment to talk about the infamous Pan-India tag. It's become a buzzword in Indian cinema, but Game Changer proves that this trend might be doing more harm than good. Watching the film in Telugu, its supposed native language, was like watching a poorly dubbed movie. The actors were speaking in Hindi in certain parts and the lip sync was all over the place. If this is the experience for native Telugu speakers, one can only imagine how alienating it must be for other regional audiences. This obsession with Pan-India releases has led to a strange paradox. Instead of uniting audiences across regions, it alienates them. A Telugu audience feels disconnected because the dialogues don't sync, while a non-Telugu audience struggles to find cultural authenticity, and the result, a film that fails to resonate with anyone. And it's not just about the language. The storytelling itself is watered down to appeal to a broader audience, which ironically dilutes the very essence that could have made the film stand out. Shankar's earlier works had a universal appeal because they were rooted in strong, regionally authentic narratives. Here, Game Changer feels like it's trying too hard to cater to everyone and ends up catering to no one. Moreover, if you're going to slap the Pan-India tag on a film, the least you can do is ensure technical consistency. Lip sync issues in 2024, that's inexcusable, especially when you're marketing the film as a grand nationwide experience. Instead of bridging cultural gaps, this trend has become a box office gimmick that often backfires. In conclusion, Game Changer is anything but a game changer. It's an outdated, poorly executed film that drags down everyone involved. Shankar's refusal to evolve, combined with a loud, incoherent narrative, makes this film a frustrating experience. yes, Ram Charan deserved better. The audience deserved better. This film is a wake up call not just for Shankar but everyone who thinks pan India films and big budgets can replace good storytelling. They can't. Shankar needs to step out of his echo chamber and embrace new ideas, or else his legacy will continue to fade. And so that's my honest review of Game Changer. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've watched the film, and please do subscribe to the channel to support the content. Thank you for watching today, and bye bye.